I don't know if it's shade as much as like I just spit facts and truth, and if you take it as
Sometimes
shade,
people take it as shade, but that's okay.
It is what it is. Yeah, and like we'll have a few shenanigans as always. So first things first, let's get into the lurk.
Oh, the lurk.
The fashions.
The lurk. I take my shoes off, and I'm the mom, so I'm wearing Crocs today.
Like, just a daily reminder that little booties matter. And
oh look, we both did it at the okay. Sorry.
Her. So today we'll be talking to our special guest. We've got Justin Robinson coming on. We've got Megahn Clark coming on. And we'll also be talking about how COVID is affecting the Olympics this year and also mental health and athletes today. So we have
one of my favorite topics.
Yeah, I'm repressed, but she's really tapping into her emotions, and that is apparently healthy. So it's going to be a fun show. I'm really excited. If you guys have questions, comments, go ahead.
Always leave it in the chat.
And we're excited. So let's get things started. I think we're going to start talking about COVID, but as we start, I'm going to pop my little Ollie Pop. Today we're doing
Ollie cheer.
I mean, I don't have an Ollie Pop jingle yet, but I pop that Ollie Pop, pop that Ollie.
Today's flavor is cherry vanilla.
And let's get into COVID and the Olympics. So one of the things that's interesting to me is that the athletes are doing self-testing, and look at how like my pores are solid. Look at the dexterity. The athletes are self-testing, and I have a mole in Tokyo giving me all.
We have several moles in the village, but
giving me all the tea and breaking down. So basically, what happens is they get like a bag of vials every day, and you have to spit. And she was like, "It is the most disgusting thing I've ever done in my life. I hate spit." They just spit in this vial until they fill it up to like there's this black line. And Justin's here.
Hey, Justin.
And then they take their temperature, and then they go on to an app where they do like a questionnaire every single day, basically checking in to make sure their health is A-okay. And then they do this drop off.
Not bringing COVID into the village.
Because that would be detrimental. Do you watch Schitt's Creek?
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
I was about to sign out.
COVID. And then they drop off the vial that they spit into this like drop off area, which is just like a collection of people's spit, which is really weird. But that's how someone asked. That's how they're able to make sure.
I'm checking on it.
So that's how they're able to make sure that everyone's COVID free and healthy. But even though we're testing for it, like there's still athletes that are popping up with COVID, and that's kind of unfortunate because that means like your Olympic dream is over.
Right.
And you've got the stats on that, Natasha.
I do, that I'm trying to get pulled up. My link isn't working. Okay, as of Monday, there were 16 new coronavirus cases, but that was like a mix
at the Olympics.
And it was a mix of like athletes, workers, officials, team officials. But why did my link not work? Hold on, sorry.
So, yeah.
Open link. There we go. Sorry, I'm back. Here we go. But as of today, or as of Monday, there have been 6 Team USA athletes who have tested positive for COVID, and therefore have had to withdraw from the games. Those athletes being Bradley Beal, men's basketball, Taylor Crabb, men's beach volleyball, Kara Eaker, women's gymnastics, Coco golf, women's tennis, Katie Lou Samuelson, women's 3x3 basketball, and Bryson DeChambeau, USA golf.
And it's looking like our Team USA track team has been free from COVID, but
so shout out to Team USA.
But we had some cases at trials, with a couple athletes and a few people in like the medical staff. So just making sure like I think it's just, I'm glad that they're doing the testing to make sure that everyone is safe.
Yeah.
Because I think, yes, this is a huge production and like everyone wants the Olympics, but at the end of the day, like people's health should be the number one priority. And so, do you think that it's selfish to have the Olympics?
We kind of had this conversation before, right? Because I kind of had like a little bit of guilt training for the Olympics, hoping to go to Tokyo. And it was like, number one, seeing that, I mean, Tokyo is literally in a state of emergency right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you plopped in however many people, granted, a lot less than what it would have been if it was a normal Olympics, but people coming from all over the world. And that's just, I just listed Team USA, but you've got 6 cases from the Czech Republic, 3 from Great Britain, 2 from Mexico, 2 from Netherlands, South Africa, Australia, Chile. So,
I mean, it's a global pandemic, so it's going to be global.
Global panini that we're bringing more exposure possibilities. Yeah. I don't know. But the athlete in me feels like I trained 5 years for this. I'm going.
Yeah.
So it is selfish.
Did you feel like what I realized during quarantine was like, I was already living a quarantine lifestyle. Like, my lifestyle did not change much other than the fact that we were like nomads trying to find a track to train on. But other than going to the grocery store and practice, where else am I going? Chipotle? No, like I was like out. I stay at home all the time. I think the only thing that changed is like my dog was like, you were home a lot more because like we didn't have a weight. I had to like shout out to my neighbor who let me train in their gym all summer for a weight room. But I was like, Kori, are you okay? Because the quarantine it hit different for me. I feel like
and we're gonna talk more about mental health towards the end, but I wonder if a lot of what we're seeing does have something to do with COVID. From the aspect of, you know, is it more or less pressure to compete without a crowd, but also without having spectators means no family and friends. A lot of athletes are over there with, at least track and field, we know some athletes weren't able to travel with their support staff that they would normally travel with, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're seeing COVID have an effect in more than one way than just...
And I know me, like, I feed off the crowd when I compete. Like, that's why I love competing in Jamaica. That's why I love competing in Oregon. That's why I love competing in London, because, like, the fans are tapped in and I vibe off of that. And, like, also, like, some of my best moments in track and field is, like, after I win a big race, I'm immediately looking for my family. And I also think...
What does a victory lap look like now?
Is
there a victory lap?
I don't know. I'm sure there is gonna be a victory lap.
Yeah, but like, who do you wave to? Like
the camera and like the medical staff.
You know what?
Have your moment.
That's true, because the other athletes and coaches can go to the stadium. It's just not packed. So
so I think also like the way you tap in, like the way you train and like kind of go into a zone for an Olympic year, I think is different than every other year. Like it's like, okay, this is like, and then we had to do that and then stop and then restart and do that again. Like the mental capacity that has. So I think it's interesting to see how the Olympics proceed with, you know, under the, I'm not allowed to say Papa John's anymore, but I just said it. So
but you just said
under the Panda Bear Express. And we'll talk
Panda Bear Express.
Yeah, the Polar Express. You know, let me just talk about the parallelogram, how I want to talk about it. But I think we'll talk more about the effect on mental health later. But let's start in bringing our first guest, Justin.
Yes, Justin, I want to tell a quick little story, as my brother also texted me and said good morning. I also have a younger brother by the name of Justin that I actually named him. I did. I chose the name Justin. So anyway, our first guest is named Justin. Not Justin Hastings, but Justin Robinson. He's a 19-year-old phenom out of Hazelwood, Missouri. Committed to Arizona State, so I don't know if he's in Arizona now or we'll figure that out when he comes up on the screen. He also competed at the trials this past Olympic trials that just happened. He's the current world under 18 best at 44.84. 2019, he was the under 20 Pan Am champ in the 400 meters, and he is a part of our track and field future. So if we could get him up on the screen.
I'm like making sure because
He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. All right. Well, while we wait for him, I'm sure he can still hear me talking. We're going to chat with him a little bit, but we're also going to play a little bit of trivia. See how much the young buck knows about the history of his event. Hey, Cecilia. Hey, Mike. Oh, also, I saw a question earlier. We are also streaming. Yes. Are we able to replay the live stream or can we only watch this live? You will be able to replay. This is currently streaming to our YouTube channels, and the video will live on YouTube. So you can go back and watch the replay there and also share. Bring more people to the party.
Cecilia is here on time, guys. Time out. Cecilia is here on time. Thank you.
Yes.
She said not only did she say she was going to do better, she did better. And that's what we appreciate. And Justin's here.
Oh.
Ooh, ooh. You always want to cut off my song.
Sorry, go.
It's fine. I was just going to do ooh, ooh, but now it's not the same.
Good morning, Justin.
Kill my vibe.
Good morning.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Justin, can we hear you?
Why can't Oh, okay.
There we go.
Okay. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. Do you have? Is that your Arizona gear?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sun Devils.
Oh yeah.
Are you in Arizona or are you home?
No, I'm still home.
Okay. When do you report?
August 10th.
Okay, I was about to say, you don't know when you're going to school, sir. Okay.
You ready for that college fall training?
Oh yes.
Not me. You like fall training? You like? Okay, that's like a great. Sorry.
I like fall training. I feel like it gets me ready for the season, so I like it.
Yeah, it gets you ready for the season, but that don't mean you gotta like it.
Fall training is always like fall training is worse because it's terrible, but you're also out of shape. Like winter training, it's terrible, but at least I'm in shape while I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying?
I never thought of it that way. Yeah, I just don't like it.
I kind of like it because
I figured you would. I'm not surprised by that. So anyway, Justin, we did a little talk up about you. I don't know if you heard it or not, but we are going to play a little trivia before we'll have a little chit chat. But we want to see how up on your history you are.
Because you're the future. We want to know if you know about the past.
Okay. I might learn a little something.
Okay. All right. So your first question is: prior to Michael Johnson, who was the men's 400-meter world record holder?
I don't know that. I just know Michael Johnson. Oh man.
Jeopardy music.
Well, he already said he don't know it. He said we don't need it.
It was Butch Reynolds. At 49. Do you know what MJ's record was?
44-18, I think.
Close. 43-18.
I mean, I'm sorry. I said the first wrong. I'm sorry.
But you had 18.
He knew what it was. You nervous. Yes. It's okay. Okay, I didn't know this one, but we gon'. When was the first Olympic 400-meter race contested?
That's rude. No, like.
Did you see his eyes?
That was rude. That was disrespectful.
Just take a guess. It's got to be an even number. This is the only Olympics happening in an odd
year. You just gave. Leave me alone.
I don't even know. I'm sorry. I can't even. 1980. I
Already
don't
wrong.
know.
1980.
I don't
How
know.
long do you think the Olympics were?
1896.
Man.
Someone save this child. He's just a baby.
I don't know the
He-
answers, but can he ask a friend? You can ask a friend.
You can. Ask,
Okay,
I'll be your friend.
this next one.
This one.
Okay.
This is my favorite track trivia.
Yeah. How long did Edwin Moses go undefeated in the 400-meter hurdles?
I'm gonna say 10 years.
Very,
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 very
close. 9 years, 9 months, 9 days.
We gonna round up. We're gonna say 10 years.
Do we have a point for that?
Okay, this one you should know. You have to know. All right. What lane did Wade Van Niekerk win his Olympic gold medal and set the world record from?
Lane 8.
Bonus question, because I'm vain. What lane did I win my world championship from?
Who? I'm gonna guess lane 8. No.
Close.
Close.
Lane 9.
Lane 9.
Went 2 through 9 in that race, so it's
Okay.
fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
All right, so that rounds out our trivia questions. But I have a question for you that might be a little bit trivial, or you could be shady, be honest, be
Okay.
truthful. I don't think you have a shady answer though, because I already read up on you.
She did her research.
I like to be a little prepared. So you are 19 years old. You've been
Yeah.
competing against the pros already. I believe it was 2019 that you had a world lead for a while. In 2020, you showed up some pros. And it's interesting how as we come up as students of our sport, our idols sort of become our rivals. So I'm interested to know, like, what's it like being the young guy out there, and how, have they been embracing? Have they given you a tough time?
Um, for the most part, they all take me under their wing, try to give me as much advice as
They
possible.
all
But,
same name.
like Michael Cherry, Will London, Vernon Norwood, those guys, a few other guys I named, but they all, joke around with me sometimes, but still take me under the wing, try to guide me as best as possible.
Okay.
I remember my first year as a pro. I think Lashana Demas thought I was so crazy because
I'm sure she did.
we were at USA's, and we're like, I think she was in my semi, and we're in the hipping tent, and I was like, oh my gosh, girl, I love you so much. Da-da-da-da. And she looked at me like, we are about to race.
Right.
And I was just like, I grew up watching you, da-da-da-da. And she was just like, we don't do that here. And I was just like, okay, y'all want to pray? She didn't like, it wasn't like she was like, we don't do that. Like, it was just kind of like, she was taken aback because I was like, she's in her zone. And I just was like fangirling over her. I couldn't help myself.
Why am I not surprised?
But why did you pick ASU?
I just fell in love with the coaching staff and the environment, and then it's warm. I come from the Midwest when it gets cold in the wintertime, so it's really warm. Um, it's just a good environment. Mostly black coaching staff, which is good for me being a young black male, and I just click with the coaches very well.
What other schools did you choose from?
USC. Um,
The real one?
Ooh, you know who he's talking about. He's talking.
Or do you know who he's talking about?
I'm a California girl, so there's only one USC. That was where I was gonna go if I didn't go to Stanford.
I'm talking about the original, established in 1898, before California was even a state. So, which USC were you talking about?
I
Don't worry, it's okay. We're not gonna beat you up. He's like, I don't want to get involved.
I guess the real one. I don't know.
Was it Southern California?
Yes.
That's who he thinks is the real one.
All right, kick him out. Get him out of here. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Someone said that you played a different sport in high school.
Yes, I used to play football.
Oh, what position?
Wide receiver.
Okay. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
That threw me off. I had a next question. So was it just USC?
Oh,
Where else?
Baylor and Houston.
Oh, Baylor. That Baylor is a quarter miler powerhouse.
Yes,
But Arizona State, it's hot down there.
I know.
Um,
Okay.
so you're about to start school, transitioning from high school to college. Like, what are you looking forward to most? What are your goals for your collegiate career moving forward?
I think I just look more forward to practicing with the team again and just getting the whole team atmosphere back going because these past few years I've been practicing alone by myself, just me and my coach. So just having the team aspect again, I think that's what I'm looking more forward to most. But my goals, oh, I really didn't even set any yet. I'm still thinking about those. I usually just wait till I start practice and see how I feel and stuff like that. Then make small goals each week and just make a big one at the end of the season.
I think and I think also, yeah, I see that question. I'll get to it. I think also, now going into college, you'll be switching coaches. So I think, waiting to kind of learn your coach, not so much learn your coach's philosophy, but like sit down and make that collaborative plan with your coach
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
make those goals. I think that makes sense. So it's fair that you're kind of like, oh, I'm not really sure, but I like the idea that you want to make smaller goals leading into your bigger ones.
Yeah.
So I'll get to this question and then I have one last question for you. Or not last question, sorry. Speaking of transition, how or why did he make the decision to switch from football to track?
um, I really didn't want to, but my coach sat me down after I made the U18 World Championship team in I think 2018, my sophomore year, and you just like you're better at
After
this, start focusing more on
don't
this.
tell your freshman 400 meters.
When you
And
say
like,
right now, you're breaking up a little bit.
dang, sorry, we're gonna work out this connection. I said, go back and tell us, like your freshman 400 meters. That was a pretty cool story of like where you started from to sophomore year to junior year.
Please don't start like Jessica. I don't know if you saw. I don't saw our stream last yesterday, but Jessica, her starting track and field was a little rough to say the least.
Man, I started track just to race my cousin, honestly, because we went to the same high school, and just a little family rivalry going on. But I ran indoor my first time, and I ran the 400 on a flat track. It was terrible, but I took off so fast. I just started sprinting so fast. My coach didn't tell me how to run it or nothing. He just said just go out there and just run. I said okay, cool, that's easy. So I took off running and I died. I was like walking across the finish line, dying. I was about to quit, about to
Natasha,
throwing up in the trash can
was,
and
was,
everything. It was terrible.
and then you were like, "I'm gonna go back and try it again."
I don't like giving up at stuff, so I'm like, okay, this is a little challenging. Let me try this again. I like the
I like
challenge.
I like that mentality. I
Not
like.
me. The
Oh,
first
yeah.
time I ran 400, I was like, please don't put me back in that.
Oh, I actually was excited to run the 400 when I finally got because my coach started me off at like the 15 and 8.
Oh
So the 4 was
Wow.
like one time around.
no.
That's awesome. Okay.
So I'm curious to know, in light of like, oh, I almost said it.
The
The
parallelogram.
yes, the parallelogram. Thank you. And you mentioning like it's tough to train by yourself, and then now going back to or going into Arizona and now having training partners. Have you felt like or seeing everything that's happening now in the game, just the overall culture in athletics and athletes with their mental health? Have you felt like you've had any struggles? Um, Throughout last year and this year. It's crazy to think that we've been in this thing for almost 2 years
Yeah.
now. But how that's affected your training, your mental health. Do you think? I mean, I think we all can agree that having training partners is beneficial. But
Yes.
one that you struggled with or you've come to some new realization with?
Last year it was real hard on me. Just knowing that it's probably hard on everybody, but just knowing that you're training and training, but you don't know what you're training for because you don't know if you're gonna have a meet this year. What am I still training for? But my coach sat me down and just explained some few things to me and stuff like that, and just kept me going. And my family kept pushing me to keep training and keep going forward, and try to keep when I didn't have practice, try to keep my mind off of it and stuff like that. But I think the main thing was my coach kept pushing me just and telling me why we still need to train this year and still get ready
To
for next year.
find motivation.
You have a good coach.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me at least, like I felt like I was treading water this when the pandemic first hit. Like I'm trying to stay fit in case there's a meet, but I don't really know. And what we do is grueling work, and it's not practice is not fun. But I love my goal is like okay, work hard because you know you have a race coming up, and I didn't have that to tap into, so I was just like it was hard to motivate yourself to like let's do these 400 repeats, and it's like for what? For what? So I definitely I feel you on that. When it's like, why are we out here? Like
How did it feel competing in like what's the
trials.
word? Trials, but also like less capacity, less people. Because I mean, the meets weren't necessarily like empty, but it was not the same.
Um, it was it was kind of it was kind of weird, but kind of not at the same time because I kind of got used to not competing with the big crowd over the past few years and some of the other meets we were going to leading up to the trials. But I think I would have liked it more if it was a lot more people and having a little bit more energy in the crowd and stuff like that.
And you probably have to remember, like he's used to like high school meets where it's not like thousands of people, you know.
But you've been to some meet. You've been to like Penn relays and Drake relays.
But I'm saying like we're used to like when we compete, it's usually like this is what you get, you know, like a diamond league where it's like so it feels weird when it's a smaller meet. But I'm saying he probably is like it's probably different. It's probably close to what he's used to.
This is true.
Someone's shouting at your coach saying that they're dynamite.
Cecilia, that coach sounds dynamite. So good to hear that there are those in the game going the extra mile to look after their athletes. It is needed. It is definitely needed. And I had the pleasure of meeting Justin's coach, and he is awesome. What's his name again? Give your coach a shout out.
Sean Burris. Shout out, coach.
Yeah. So where can people find you on the social medias if they want to follow your journey?
You can guys follow me on Instagram at Justin_Robinson1. That's the social media I'm on right now.
Well, we are going to get ready for our next guest, but we have one last question for you from our girl, Cecilia. How many meets do you usually have in high school? Do you do more or less in college?
Definitely more in college.
More in college.
For me as an athlete in high school, I really didn't run too much. We usually geared up for the later meets in the season, so really didn't run too much during the season.
You did? Oh yeah. Oh, I guess is it because of COVID or because when I was in high school, we had a dual meet usually every week.
Oh really?
Yeah, like because we do everyone in our league. It was like every week we'd race someone in our league, and then on weekends we would do an invitational.
Ahead of its time. That's COVID friendly.
I guess so. Well, it really wasn't, but so we did like a dual meet, and then we would do like invitationals every now and then like get ready for like state.
But you're saying even before COVID, you guys just kind of focused on
invitationals.
Yeah, we just focus on certain meets and stuff like that, especially for like summer. We focus more on summer track and try to make the teams.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. I know.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Early, you're getting ready to go to college. You're probably trying to get in your last, days to sleep in. Or are you still training?
No, I'm done. I still go to gym time to time, but I'm done.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we loved having you, and we are going to be cheering you on, and we can't wait to see what you do at Arizona and the teams that you make and the times that you drop.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Bye, Justin.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
So, Natasha, I have a question for you.
Oh, God.
Because our next...
I love when you started off with... Oh, yeah. I know that... Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just do my question?
Ask your question. Ask your shady question.
It actually isn't shady. It's very informal. And I was going to ask you, how did you pick your college?
Oh.
And what that process was like.
I always knew that I was going to South Carolina. Coach Fry hates to hear that. But I probably knew since my freshman year of high school because it was a quarter-miler powerhouse.
Mm-hmm.
But I also visited the University of Texas, UCLA, and Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
But I also remember my mom telling me that you're going to go on your visits and you're going to walk on campus and you're just going to know. And so, like, I had been, like, recruited. I was privileged. I was one of those athletes, like you, I'm sure, that was privileged to just, everyone wanted me.
Everyone did want. But one of the things is, the other thing my mom made me, she was like, make sure you have your grades, like,
same.
So everyone wanted me and I could go anywhere.
Right. I remember it was kind of a big thing because, like, my mom, like, she was like, okay, I like these schools. Stanford was one of the schools recruiting me. My father was like, you're really not going to go to Stanford? And I was like, nope.
My father was like, you're going to Stanford.
It was just kind of like, you have to live there for the next 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not my life.
And no shade to you.
You make the choice.
Stanford's not your vibe. And and I'm not, I walked in campus and I was like, there's people tightrope rocking in the trees. Like, people are running around. Like, do you know how many times people ran around naked on that campus? Like, it's like a thing. Like, just like a lot of just like everyone was weird, and I was like, my people.
Oh shoot, Cecilia, what would you have not guessed that Stanford recruited me?
She was
nerd. Okay,
she was literally talking about the meets. This was a little bit.
I was like, wait, the shade. I'm a smart girl.
You're smart. You're not weird. Everyone at Stanford's like me.
Cecilia, I'm just weird. Fun. It's okay.
But yeah, so continue with your story.
No, that was it. Like, my mom literally told me, like, okay, these are good schools. Mm-hmm. You have to live there for the next 4 years. When you walk on campus, you'll know. And I kind of knew freshman year, but then freshman year of high school, that is. But then, as I said, when I got to Carolina, I was like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. How did you choose Stanford?
I was always going to Stanford. Literally, I think before my freshman year, my dad was like, So my mom saw, this is low-key not allowed, but like my mom saw, I was at JO's and there was a recruiter.
Junior Olympics.
Yeah. There was a recruiter there and I was still in 8th grade and my mom was like, Stanford, like you need to meet my daughter. And they didn't realize I was in 8th grade. And so it was fine. Like,
they had a whole compliance issue because Lena was like, "Oh no, Lena, you go."
That's exactly.
You go meet my daughter.
And it was Mary Jo who was like, it was her first recruiting trip, and so my mom grabbed this lady and was like, "Come meet my dad." But anyways, my dad then was like, "We're flying up to meet the coach because if you're on campus, you can talk to the coach."
Yeah.
So he was like, "We're flying up to meet the coach." I think it was either after or before my freshman year, and then I ran at Stanford Invite a bunch of times. And so
you were putting on a show like recruit me. I'm gonna come to y'all to see me.
Look, because for me, Stanford was utopia. It was like I'm gonna get an Ivy League education and still be able to ball. That's where I need to be. And
and I was actually concerned, would I be able to study and compete the way that I wanted to compete?
So the thing about Stanford, it was like you'd be at meets and like we'd be in the airport, people on their computers in their textbooks. Like we had to have a rule like you guys cannot study during the meets, just because like everyone was always in their books. But so then I went to World Youth, and like while I was at World Youth my junior year, like after my junior summer, it was like junior year summer going to senior year. That was like the time when you could start having home visits. So the day I came home from World Youth. Coach Flo was at my doorstep and was like, "You're signing this."
Yeah, that's right. Coach Flo was.
Shout out.
Yeah.
We've been in this thing for a decade plus, y'all. The internet's gonna get me in trouble.
That's
Sorry.
She was talking about my
Yeah.
shady.
So he was at my doorstep and he was like, "You're committing to Stanford today," and I was like, "I haven't done any visits," and he's like, "You've been to campus, you know what it is."
That
and I was like,
definitely is against the rules.
"No, it's not." It was because it was in the time frame where it was like the day
you could start your visits your junior year, and then now
basically
it might have changed, but you could start your visits your junior year, but you couldn't commit until like the fall of your senior year.
It was like the day you could commit. The day you could commit, Flo was at my doorstep and was like, "You're committing." No, it was like the day you could commit. And so I hadn't gone in. Don't talk about my coach, okay? Look here. And so I did one visit to Stanford.
Oh, you were sure?
Well,
obviously you made the right choice.
Yeah,
but
he was just like, "You already know what it is. Like, get your scholarship." And I knew, like, I think he had lost someone to Oregon like the year before, and he after a trip, and he was just like, "No," and he made me like he made me email all the coaches that were recruiting me and like do an announcement on. At the time, it was mile split, and was like, "Kori Carter commits to Stanford. Stop recruiting her." He was not playing.
I feel like that breaks.
It's not actually. It really was. You know, Coach Flo. He does everything within the rules, but all the way up to the edge.
That don't sound like it within the rules to me.
And I remember, I think one of the coaches like called and was like, "But we didn't even come to we didn't even get a home visit. We didn't have even anything else."
I had one of those.
And my mom was like, like, she going to Stanford. That's it. Like, like, he was like, "But we can make," like, at the time I wanted to go be a doctor. And she was like,
"Yes, Cecilia. Absolutely.
Gang, we out here." Like, Flo knows. Like, that's my coach. That's my coach for life. We for lifers. I told him he can't get rid of me. He tried a couple times. And yeah, so that was my recruiting experience. You know, I had people wanting me, but it was always going to be me and Flo. It was always going to be. We have 4 minutes until our next guest. Come on. What's some advice?
She's ready.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
What is some advice that you would give to someone entering college?
Well, first of all, listening to the difference in our stories. Don't get caught up on what, point being, it can be very different, but work out great. Like, what's meant for you will be, because I went to, did you stay here 4 years or did you go early?
I left I gave it my last year of eligibility, but I made sure I got that degree in 4 years.
Same. I didn't get mine in 4 years.
I had to fly back and forth. That's a different story.
And came back and finished my degree, and now I'm going back for my master's. Yeah. But I always say it was the best 3.5 years of my life. Mm-hmm. I also say that, like, it is important that I feel like I've survived as long as I did in my career, because when I was 16, I was a 16-year-old. When I was 19 in college, I was a 19-year-old in college. But I took care of my work. So time management, prioritize. But like, and this is probably more for parents than the athletes. Like, let your kids have the autonomy to make some choices for themselves, because honestly, that was probably the best thing that my mom did in like allowing me to make the choice that, like, you have to live there for the next 4 years. Yeah. You have to keep your grades up. You have to perform on the track. You have, especially if you're going somewhere and it's like, this is, and if you're somewhere and you're not happy. And by not happy, it's like, if the team's great and the coaching's great, but like, you're in a place where like, I can get my hair done. It's like, you have to live there. Like, I turn the radio. I feel like not getting your hair done is coming from this. But I'm saying kind of it's like, and what I'm saying is it's more of a cultural thing. It's like, if you feel like isolated, because there's places so it's like you're in the middle of nowhere, but it's a great team, and like giving you a scholarship, but like you're just unhappy because like you're so out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes it's good to go out. I think it's always good to go out of your comfort zone, but it's also good to have like things that ground you. You know what I'm saying? Liam wants to say hi. It's not just like what I'm saying here as like a overarching thing, in that like if you are at a let's call a spade a spade. Like, we need to be around our people. You know, it's hard being one of.
Yeah.
So sometimes if that's what you need, then don't be afraid to like, and I love now too that like we're starting to see some HBCUs that are like performing, and
Yeah.
they're able to recruit these top level athletes and like bring that talent to HBCU. So whatever that looks like for you that you need, whether it's an Ivy League education,
I need weird people. That's what I needed.
you want to be in a HBCU situation, or you just walk on campus and feel like this is the place for me.
Yeah. And then
Do
I feel
that.
like something I always tell college kids, especially making that transition from high school to college, right, is kind of give yourself grace, because sometimes you get to college in your freshman year, you just struggle. And I'm like,
And that was me. I struggled my freshman year.
And one of the reasons why is a lot of times you have a roommate who's usually your best friend. So now you're having a sleepover every night. You're not getting 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah, mine's now she's going to be my OBGYN.
Right?
Talk about best friends.
You're not with your mom, and she's not telling you eat your vegetable. That's how the freshman 15 happens. Like, you don't have your mom being like, eat a salad, and like you go out at night and you come back and you're like, oh, we had a Stanford late night, so you would get like chicken nuggets, pizza at 3 a.m, and that's how the freshman 15 happens. Like, and I said you ain't sleeping. If we're gonna be real, like, I didn't drink. I still don't drink. But if you drank in high school, you couldn't get wasted. You still had to go home.
In college, you're still under 21, so you shouldn't. So let's talk about something else.
But no, what I'm saying is like, if
we're letting out the college secrets.
No, what I'm saying is kids drink in high school and in college. That's a thing. But in high school, at least people do. What I'm saying, but in high school, you couldn't get wasted. You had to lay your head down at someone's house, even if you didn't go home. You like somebody's
mama's house.
In college, there's no one monitoring you like that, and like that's how I'm trying to be real, because this is what happens.
I feel you.
And so, like, let's be real. And so those are things that can happen. Those are that can happen to you when you get into college, is that you just don't have like your parents making sure that you're staying in the bounds, and you have to kind of regulate yourself, and that can have a huge effect on your performance, because your diet, your sleep, all those things are getting affected, and also on top of that, you have a new training load. You're probably lifting when you didn't lift, so you're just a whole new program. You're working with a coach who doesn't know how your body responds to workouts, so you're learning that coach's program. All these different things. So if you just stay where you are from senior year to high school to freshman year of college, I feel like you're in a good place, because you're in a transition. And I feel like a lot of kids get frustrated, and it's like that's just part of the growing pains. And also, like, you're going up against athletes who have been in a collegiate training system, and the U.S. collegiate training system, I feel like, is the best development program in the world, and who've been in it for.
We're also biased.
Why does everyone come here then to like?
I'm just pointing out that we're also biased. But also, let's bring our next guest on.
Yes. Well, okay. So okay.
I'm already queued up and ready.
Okay. So we have Megahn Clark coming on. She went to Duke, where she has the indoor and outdoor school record in the pole vault.
More smart people.
Yes, we're excited to have her on.
Hey guys.
Megahn!
Hi. Also, before you get in, yes, people, come to FanFest to get in on the chat. Cecilia mentioned that, but I want to say that for if you have any questions for Megahn, us, come to FanFest to get in on the chat so we can chat with you.
Yes, and we have Megahn, the pole vaulter. That was funny for me.
Bring the culture to pole vault.
Hi, how are you? How are you doing?
Good. It's good. It's so hot here, but you guys know that.
Where are you?
Where is it?
In Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're excited to have you on. First of all, like, I only know 2 black pole vaulters, and you're one of them. So I just think that's so amazing, because I feel like we were talking about yesterday, like, us getting into spaces that we're normally not seen, and I think it's really, I feel like having us in all the events is also going to be inspiring for kids who, like, because representation matters. Mm-hmm. And I remember I wanted to try pole vault, and they wouldn't let me, because they were like, get on these hurdles.
You're not built for it.
Yeah.
See some. So how did you get into pole vault? Like,
So
let's get into it.
actually, I started as a gymnast, right? And I tried a
That makes
bunch of different events. Yeah, gymnastics is the perfect feeder system for pole vault. So having
Yep.
role models like Dominique Dawes and Gabby Douglas and Simone now should be a really good way to get more black pole vaulters in the game. But I started, yeah, go ahead.
Can you explain? Because I'm like, I know why it makes sense, the transition from gymnastics to pole vault, but can you break down why it is helpful? Like they have helpful skills and then
Yeah,
how they
so the
transfer.
kinesthetic awareness that you build in gymnastics is exactly what you need for pole vault, right? You swing really well, you know where you are in space. Usually you have to get over the not being able to run correctly issue, because in gymnastics you run on your toes a lot, and having to fix that's usually everyone's biggest problem. But you know where you are. And in pole vault, that's so important because you can move the bar, you can change the pole you're on. So being able to figure out where you are in space relative to everything else is so important. And just not being afraid to go to upside down. Like everyone's like, oh, aren't you scared? No,
Yeah. She said no
no.
fear. God is not giving you the spirit of fear. We love it. And you can see that also you have a lot of upper body strains from this video right here from Mozelle, your sponsor. I think they're gonna play it, or I play it. There we go. I thought the producers were doing everything.
We're still figuring out how to work this.
Come on, upper body strain. Come on, bicep, tricep, deltoid. Let's get it.
How high is that?
Sorry?
How high is that?
I don't know how high it is, but it's to the roof of Randall
High enough.
Tyson. So it's the height of our indoor facility.
You got up there quick. That video was 14 seconds.
I also want to say that I have been running track for 20 something years, and what you just told me is everything that I know about pole vault. So thank you. Point being, like, we need more, like,
Yeah,
I've watched
there are
the event,
only
of course, but like you breaking down, like being aware of your spatial awareness and like where you are being upside down. I never heard it broken down like that. So thank you.
yeah, and it's interesting
You
just
guys-
because it's exactly the same every time. So like hurdles, you know that your steps have to be the same or else things get wrecked. Pole vault is the same thing because if you're not consistently the same down the runway, you can't make changes at the pit. So if you're hitting it at a different angle every time and the timing's different, it's
Dang, it took me.
Okay, so you got into pole vault because of gymnastics, and then we have a toddler downstairs.
The toddler and shady producers.
And then just like, can you talk about your journey from, okay, I did this in college, I was a standout in the ACC, and then like transitioning to being a professional athlete with Boiselle, which we love because I feel like they're very like, they're like a female focused.
Yes.
Female
focus, but also they promote activism and like causes. So
yeah, so it's a company created by women for women, right? Like they produce shirts like women's rights or human rights. It's so cool. And they're involved in almost everything, anywhere, that's my dad, anywhere that there's space to speak up for equality or human rights, women's rights of any kind, Wazel's there. They're in the fight, which has been incredible. So I actually started pole vault because I had to do a sport every season because my dad's in the army. So we moved almost every year, and that would be your like set of friends when you moved. That way you had people. So I started pole vaulting in high school. Sorry?
I said that's cool. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I went to 3 different high schools in 3 different states. So I found like my pole vault family in New York after having started vaulting in Georgia. And I actually almost quit for competitive cheer. And because the rule was we could change sports every time we moved. And when we moved to New York, yes.
That's all I got for you. Okay.
We moved to New York and I found my pole vault family. Like you said, I went to college at Duke, and it was phenomenal. As you guys were saying before I got on, it was a hard transition into college. You know, suddenly you're looking at a long-term build instead of how do I jump higher next week? You're looking at how do I jump higher in 4 years. So that was really tough. When I graduated, I went to the Olympic Training Center and spent a few years working there. Really learned how to advocate for myself and how to advocate for other people. So I think that's what makes Wazelle so great, is that they give you a voice. They're all about amplifying the voices of women, of athletes, of anyone with something good to say.
Yeah, and we
So
see that with this tweet here, them like you said, amplifying your voice. And we see, you said, we need a community that comes together in times like these. Racism is running rampant in our country, and it's our responsibility to take the fight where we can. And I feel like this past year, especially with the pandemic, we've seen like activism being a huge part of athletes' stories and platforms. And I would love to just like get your take on that and like how you feel like you are contributing to it. I just feel like you being a black girl in pole vault is revolutionary in itself. Period. Existing as a black woman
is a form of protest,
but
right?
yeah.
It is activism. But this tweet was actually because of a blog post I wrote last year. I had a sponsor who was heavily invested in a company, in a magazine, that posted a picture of all of these vaulters standing under a Confederate flag doing nothing, just standing there. And so I spoke out against it. Some of the other vaulters did the same thing, and my pole sponsor made it very difficult for me to stay with them, because they were saying like, oh, we might have to drop you, our investors, they think you overreacted, you should whatever, right? And Wazelle called me and they said, hey, if you need to drop your sponsor and you need somebody to pay for your polls, let us know.
That's awesome, because I feel like that's what happens with a lot. It's like, hey, just shut up, do your job, and like if you don't stay in line, act right, like there will be repercussions.
Right, but what they didn't
realize,
realize, there are a bunch of different pole brands. So as soon as this happened, I basically said like, hey, I can't represent you guys. I appreciate all the things you've done for me, but I've got to go. And UCF Spirit came in and was like, what do you need? We can get you polls this week.
Shout out to UCF Spirit.
Yeah, but
like,
I also appreciate you not being afraid of using your voice and not being afraid of those repercussions, because a lot of athletes, especially, we've had town hall calls and like, what does protesting look like? How do we use our platform and our voice? And a lot of athletes are afraid, if I use my voice, does this mean I could be putting my livelihood on the line? And not just for racism. I mean, we've been seeing it with motherhood and LGBTQ athletes. So really, having a platform, number one, and being able to use the platform for good, but then having sponsors back you up on it.
Yeah, that made all the difference. Because it's scary to put yourself out there. You don't know how people are going to react. You don't know if it's you overreacting or if, if they're right. Do you have a voice here? Do you have space to talk? Is it up to you? But I feel like, especially in pole vault, where there are so few people of color, you have to speak up, because if this is what we're putting out in mass media, that it's okay for us to have club teams that have Confederate flags and all sorts of stuff hung up in them, and that we're just okay with that as a community, people aren't going to want to be a part of it.
Yeah. And I think especially with companies, like I know that like technically we are products, but we're also human beings, we're people. And like I think it's so interesting to me when people are like, well, you guys are athletes, you guys should just shut up and play, shut up and compete. And it's like, y'all, we say the same thing, you're just a lawyer, just shut up and sue. Like, like,
yeah, your expertise ends with your career, actually.
Like, and we have these platforms because we're very talented, but like I feel like as an athlete, we have an obligation to our community to stand up for them. And like, it's like, I also love, it's like, on one hand, it's like, shut up and compete, but then when we do something else, it's like, but you're a role model. Like,
right.
Which one do you
Which one do you want? Do you want to only influence and inspire kids
when
to
it
do
suits you?
When it suits you for your agenda?
Yeah.
And I also see that you do a lot of promotion of Feeding America on your page. Like, you are using your platform for good, which is awesome. Is there like a special connection to why you chose to be an advocate or ambassador for Feeding America?
It was just something that Athletes for Hope was a part of, and they've been really helpful getting me involved in the community. Like, I worked with them in the Ronald McDonald House and just wellness in general. I'm actually starting medical school in 2 weeks. So
come on, medical school.
Yeah.
type of doctor you want to be?
I think I want to go into peds orthopedics.
Okay, well, when I have, when I have some
bring
things.
Liam's a little
Yeah.
bow leg, so we'll
You might need to fix that before I graduate.
So how is it being a athlete who is about to become a doctor? How are you balancing that?
It is so weird. So I ended up retiring right after trials just because of some Achilles issues that have been recurrent for years
Right.
now.
What is with Achilles? I have Achilles issues too.
It's crazy. I don't know what they're putting in the spikes,
My
but
coach-
man.
My coach said it's the first thing to go. Like, it's just, that's the first thing to go on an athlete.
I appreciate you coming to the show with a pink mug. Just saying, thank you.
We're all
You're
about
so
status.
welcome. I love the whole ambiance you guys have created.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But yeah, in the last month, I've basically transitioned to being a normal person, which is really weird. I don't think
I don't
I
medical
realized.
student
Right.
is normal. She said, I went from excellence to excellence. Okay.
I'm just normal.
Successful to successful.
Oh, you guys are the hype
So-
I need in my life.
We're here for it. And speaking of, you said you went to you started training at the Olympic Training Center when you first went pro.
Mhm.
Is that where you met your little boo thing?
Kind of. So we, the track world's so small. We lived like 200 feet from each other for a year before we started dating.
Okay.
And then we became really good friends, and then more than that, and it's been awesome. Like, yeah.
And how is it like?
Also, wait. Does everybody know who the little boo is?
Oh yeah, Ryan Krause, your world
Wow,
record
so
holder in the shot put.
Is it of him?
It
might.
Yeah, he's pretty good at
some
shot.
stuff is like,
Wow.
like
Is
what
it of
I'm
him?
learning about Megahn is like if she's going to do something, it's going to be top tier.
Right. It's regular to her, but it's top tier.
She said being excellent is regular. That is normal.
Yeah,
That
my
is the
dad
standard.
actually growing up used to say excellence is the standard. And so my brother and I look at him and we're like, well, if that's the standard, what's above the standard? That's just what everyone has to do. Like what does it even mean anymore? But hey, it taught us
Write that down. That's a quote.
Look at her sipping.
excellence is the
Come on.
standard.
Come back to listen.
She said, excellence is the bare minimum.
Bare minimum.
And she said, and even if it comes to my man,
No. Get on my level. Okay.
she said it's above that level. Stop. And she said, even my man has to be excellent. If your man's not the best in the world on something, I don't want him.
Listen.
No, not in the best in the world on something of all time. Of all time. Like, she said, but like, that's nothing because I'm going to be a doctor.
Come on. Getting sex for the rest of her life. He just throwing the shot
feel
right now.
Feel my chest right now. I'm so excited about this. But, here's a quick question. Because it's like, here's the thing, is like, me and Natasha, we don't want to reduce you to like, your relationship is all, no. But I do want to know what it's like, not because Tokyo is not allowing fans. How is it like trying to like support him and not being able to be in the stands? Because
Yeah, it's tough,
It's
especially with the 14-hour time change.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
When I get up in the morning at 5 a.m., it's 7 p.m. there. So just coordinating when we can talk and what's going on with him has been kind of difficult, but it's good. He'll be fine. He
just has a record.
Yeah,
That's the bare minimum.
He's been there before.
What are we talking about?
It's not his first rodeo. I believe in him. He's got it.
He said,
actually, when he broke the world record indoors, I was vaulting at the same meet, so we were right there, and so he breaks the world record, and they're like, "Oh, you're up." I'm like, oh, "Okay, guess just life as usual, right?" Like, that's crazy. And then it was a Sunday, and they don't sell alcohol here on Sundays, and of course, we were not ready with the champagne, so it was ice cream all night. It was great.
I love it.
But the next time I was ready.
Yeah, and
when he broke it outdoors, we were ready.
We have.
You didn't catch that.
Wait, what?
The first time he broke the world record,
Yeah,
we didn't have the champs. But the next time,
he said, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready.
Yep.
And here's picture. He's taking a picture. That's from that world record, that first world record he got.
I love it.
Actually, Ryan was on my first team I ever made, youth, and I always would make sure. For some reason, I was always sitting with the throwers at
They're fun.
mealtime.
The throwers, honestly, is like the coolest.
Yeah.
The throwers and the jumpers.
And I always make sure, like, if like we got pizza a bunch of times because we were in Italy, and I kept stealing. Oh, it was my second team because it was World Youth, and I kept stealing an extra pizza because I was like, I'm sitting with the throwers. But Ryan's always been like one of my favorite people.
Ryan's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Ryan's pretty dope
with his cowboy hat. And everything.
So, are you starting med school this fall, or?
Yeah, I start school in 2 weeks.
And where are you going again?
Arkansas. It's the University of Arkansas Medical Sciences. So,
Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
staying here. When you guys come to Fayetteville, you'll have to stop by.
We will.
Yeah,
oh
I'll
my.
have you come check out my feet. I'm a little flat-footed, so you know. Look, I'm
maybe
just trying to.
you can fix my Achilles. Like, pray on it.
Hey.
Something.
I gotta fix my own first. We'll see.
And here's the other thing. This is the other thing I want to talk about. Because first we talk about how we need more Black women in pole vault. I get any Black people? But then representation, because we need more Black women doctors. Because, I mean, I feel like it's been highlighted before that doctors do not take Black patients seriously, and we do not get the care that we need. And I think having Black doctors you can actually relate to, who actually take your concerns seriously, is very important. And like, everything that you're doing is what we need. And I thank you. I'm just gonna say thank you in advance. But yeah, can you talk about that though?
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of trust issues in the Black community with medical professionals, right? Just because of the history of it. You've got, obviously, Tuskegee, and the syphilis experiments. You've got
in the middle of that anti-vaccination in our community. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
but
you've got
why?
What?
It's not unjustified. It's justified.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a very troubled past with the Black community in medicine, just with research and all sorts of things not serving communities the way they should. And I think that having Black doctors is really helpful to bridge that gap and to build that trust again, especially in places like here. So in Arkansas, like, I've yet to see a Black doctor. Honestly, I've never had a Black doctor at all. But I think in rural communities, it's especially important because you don't have a lot of like widespread information. And so people just trust whatever it is that's going around and what they're being told. And you have communities where generations and generations have never really seen doctors that they trusted. And so there's no like basis for care there.
Yeah.
I love what I'm seeing happening, because there was also a time where we didn't want to go see Black doctors. And so
I don't know about you.
No, I'm not saying
it was a thing.
Saying our community.
Oh yes.
Like,
yeah,
we would walk in and see a Black doctor and be like, no, I don't want to see that person. I want
well,
the white doctor.
After the Great Migration, a lot of doctors saw that if they could make it, they could treat white patients. So the doctors who were left to treat the Black patients were the doctors that people didn't want to see, or they didn't know they wanted to see, because if you were good enough, you treated white patients.
Okay. So I love that, like, our culture is changing to where we're like, no, I'm going to be a Black doctor. Also, where is the Black doctor? Because like you, I mean, I've been in Austin for almost 10 years. Never had a Black doctor. A lot different than being a doctor, but I see a therapist every week. And when I looked for a therapist, I was like, Black female therapist.
I went to a sports therapist once, and it was this like
old white man. And
I was like, we don't relate. You don't. And I just was like, yeah. And I stopped going to sports therapist because I just was like, this is who's out here. And that was when I was in LA, and I just was like, I don't see the point in it because you can't relate to me.
Yeah. We need more of us in the spaces. We need more of us that aren't afraid to take up the spaces. Something you said earlier that I was like, I've been wanting to emphasize it, because you seem to have a strong sense and emphasis and empowering community. I love the idea of when you said your dad is in the Army, you're an Army brat, but the rule was our community comes from being on a team. So so I was listening to that and I was like, oh, that's a great piece of advice for military families. Like, hey, get your kids involved in a team. But that also is the sense of community. Like, we were joking the other day about sororities, and I was like, I was track by track.
Slow runs slow.
I didn't need a sorority because I had my teammates, you know?
Yeah.
I actually also went to an all-white school. I was the only Black kid, or there was one other, but I was in a private school from K to the 8th grade, and it was just 2 Black kids. But I had my track team where we were all Black, and, you know, so I had that balance, but that was my community, where at school it was tough to be the one of. But I love your sense of community and like being able to find that community, but then also take up the space in community and empower community, because being one of in pole vault and having the confidence and
Shout out to Kristen Brown.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, two.
actually, so Kristen and I, we were training together at the Olympic Training Center, and people could not tell us apart. If you've seen the two of us, we don't look anything like. And they'd come up to me and say, "Oh, I saw you at the Mountain West Conference Championship." Like, no, you didn't.
Kristen Brown, like when I first started running track, because I know Kristen Brown because we used to do hurdles against each other, 7th and 8th grade JOs, and we like would battle it out, and we just became friends ever since. Like, we've been friends since 7th and 8th grade, and then we kind of lost touch, and then I was like, wait, Kristen Brown's out here pole vaulting? Like, how did you even switch from the hurdles to pole vault? But just, that's why I said I know 2 Black pole vaulters, and you're one of them. But yeah, I think
not being afraid to use your voice in that space where it's like, you know, that you're 2 of.
Yeah.
But also realizing the importance of community. I think, like, I'm gonna get your number before we get off here, because you're the type of people that I like to brush elbows with.
She's like,
That'll be fun.
It's like, I love that you're becoming what we need. Like we see that there's gaps in our community, and you're just like filling it, and I love that
unapologetically. I'm here. Deal with it.
Yes. I'm just. This is
Black excellence.
And I think that's the other thing when I was gonna bring up, like, speaking of Black excellence, because I feel like you said that your dad's in the military and you're saying excellence is the standard. And my dad was very much the same way. He wasn't military, but he made it very clear that in order to get half of what, you know, your white peers are going to get,
you're twice as hard.
Twice as good. And like, I remember, like, because I'm a small community, and like in sports, like getting picked for the all-star team, sometimes it would be like, all right, this girl's mom is the coach, and so and it was like, I was clearly better than this girl, but she got picked. And so I realized I have to be so good, you would be stupid not to pick me.
You have to be undeniable.
I have to ball on a level where it's like, people are like, hey, why did you not? And so it got to the point, like, and luckily I had my sisters. My sisters kind of like came before me and made kind of a mark. So you knew, like, if you were on a team, your first pick should be a Carter girl. Doesn't matter the sport. Like, get her. Y'all go into the ship. Don't worry about it. But it was that. My dad was like, we do A's in this family. And I feel like Natasha said, it wasn't until junior high school till I had another Black girl in my class. But luckily for me, I had 2 older sisters. And so I just thought excellence is what we do. My sister Kai went to Harvard and Brown. My sister Kelly went D1 soccer. So in my head, I was just like, yeah, like, what you do is all you do is get straight A's because my sisters did it. All you do is go to college and get scholarships because that's what my sisters did. And I'm so lucky I had those role models, and I could see myself in them. So that way, I feel like that's one of the reasons why I'm so confident, and I like literally think I can do anything because my sisters were just like showing me the way.
Yeah, the culture in your family was phenomenal.
Yeah, and then when I got pro, like, luckily, I came into a training group with Allison and Jenny, and they kind of just took me under their wing and was like, this is how you become a pro athlete. And like, they showed me how to become a pro athlete. And I feel like with you, like, you're kind of just having to be like, all right, well, this is how you be a Black pole vaulter. Me and Chris Brown went thug it out and figure it out ourselves.
And then transition to become a Black doctor. While using your voice and helping the community. In between and through.
Black excellence. Black excellence. Well, we love to see. Do you have any more questions?
I don't. I just.
Where can the people
the
find you?
amazingness of it all. Yeah.
Where can they read
Yeah,
your blog
I'm
posts?
on Instagram and Twitter is MPC Vaults. And then Wazelle has like every blog I've ever written, which is there aren't that many, but they're there. Shout out to Wazelle.
Okay, well, we loved having you. We wish you nothing but the best of luck. I'm gonna get pregnant, have a baby, and bring that child to see you.
She's like,
there's some steps in between that.
Hey, we're not gonna sweat the details yet. It's fine.
Basically, we're on the same timeline. By the time I have a child, you will like have your own practice. Don't worry.
Okay.
Natasha, unlock the things.
This is my crazy co-host. I love it.
And
you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you guys.
awesome. We love excellence is the bare minimum.
That's our new tagline. This is the Track Girl stuff. Like, this is what Track Girl stuff is about. Like, just I'm trying to tell you, Track has like some amazing, dope people that you may not hear about, but we gonna
bring the culture.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megahn.
Where are the Track? They're coming. Okay.
They're coming. They'll be available for pre-order very, very soon.
Very soon.
Maybe a few hours soon.
I have to set up the website. All right. Okay.
That's Kori's job.
Do you want to stay for this next segment? It's going to be fun.
I guess. I don't know.
Because you're actually leading off our next segment, which is our favorite track couples. A little track love. These are the couples that actually make me believe in love and possibly opening up my heart. So, of course, we have Ryan and Megahn, and we saw them up already. And then I think our producers are going to bring up the tweets. The next track couple is a young track couple, but I feel like they have such a big following already.
Yeah,
Hunter Woodall, he's a Paralympian, and Tara Davis, long jumper. She set the collegiate record indoor and outdoor for the long jump, broke Jackie Joyner Kersey's records. They have a YouTube together. They're all on social media. I want to show this other tweet. Of
it's
them.
It's coming.
They're both.
We didn't give warning. We just kind of was like.
True. Tara made the Olympic team. Hunter made the Paralympic team, and like, look at them, so cute in their little outfits.
Superheroes, athletes, lovers. Okay. Does he train here in Texas too?
I told you not to ask me questions I don't know to, because I thought he. Listen.
This Olipop is amazing.
And I like how Tokyo Loma says
vanilla.
Their love is right on track. So yeah.
Oh, I was like, what did USATF? We see what you did there. I didn't read that part. I like that. I see what you did there.
Yeah,
okay.
And they're all on the social media.
He trains in Fayetteville.
That's what I thought. But I didn't want to. I was like, I'm not sure, so don't.
We don't have all the answers,
But we do have all the questions. But yeah, and if you wanted to see like Generation Z,
is
right?
that what they are? Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Aren't you Gen Z too?
I don't know. I feel like I'm on the cusp. I feel like I'm a millennial. I don't know. I'm me.
You want to be a millennial.
First of all, I'm part of your generation. She keeps trying to like push me out. Like I know you're older, Natasha. But
anyway, let's keep it moving.
But I'm not that much younger.
29% battery.
What did I do? What did I do? Okay. Sorry. I thought I just like clicked out of the live. And then our next couple is Nia Ali, Andre DeGrasse. I always want to say Andre DeGrassi because that used to be my show growing up, and I wasn't allowed to watch it.
Yeah, you're definitely Gen Z.
Leave me alone. But they are a very cute couple. I really love Nia. See, I'm a millennial. 92. This is Andre tweeted this of Nia. Why is it doing this?
I don't know.
What did I do? Why is it doing this? Okay.
You guys have to click it for us because for some reason it's opening another window.
I've opened like 6 tabs at this point.
Yeah.
But they have like the cutest kids in track and field.
No, they don't.
Liam's cute too.
I ain't talking about nobody's kids, but my kid It's the cutest baby in track and field.
That's gonna be our next segment. We go head-to-head competitions on cuteness.
Oh yeah, we should have the baby Olympics.
Yes. I so all the BK riders like Allison, Jenny, and Dawn have babies, and I was like, I'm about to pop out a kid.
I'm a former BK rider too.
Well, I want my kid on the relay, and I was like, it'd be perfect because like the age gap will be like exactly the same. Anyways, they have a cute kid. If you haven't seen Nia Ali on TikTok, it is the best, and she does like little. You haven't seen her on TikTok?
Uh-huh. They're cute.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something.
No,
like,
no.
And yeah, do you have any?
Oh, we can't hit play. I was like, we're not gonna see the video. It's not working for us for some. I don't know what happened while we're going to another window.
It was working so
It was
fine.
working.
It's fine. We're gonna.
Something happened.
Speaking of pole vault, our next couple is Sandy Morris and Tyrone Smith. Sandy does pole vault. Tyrone does the long jump, and he jumps for
not the Virgin
I
Islands.
thought it was Barbados.
It's not Barbados. I should know this because Tyrone hooks me up with my whips.
And Tyrone just got his MBA from UT.
He just got his MBA from UT.
They're very cute. Oh, well, look at them.
Look at them.
Getting.
He proposed to her in Zurich.
So.
Bermuda. Thank you.
I was seeing teal like that light blue, and I was just like, that's why I kept saying it's fine. And then our next couple is Kyle and Christina Clemens. We talked about Christina in one of our early lives because she had the Doritos earrings and is now getting that Doritos bag. But they actually just opened up a barbecue restaurant together, which is so cute.
Is it in Kansas?
I told you stop asking questions. But I think
it's called Gold Medal Barbecue. Look that up. Go support the Black businesses.
Yeah, I love Black business, track business. So they're married. Kyle runs a 400. Christina Clemens runs the 100 hurdles. Christina will be at the Olympics.
I was to say, be sure to check her out in the 100 hurdles in Tokyo.
Yeah, and Sandy made the team too. So my mom's calling me. And then
come on, Lena. We're streaming, Lena.
Our next couple is one of my favorites, Queen and Will. Like, I'm just a fan of them.
Their
Like,
vibes.
I'm in the Hive or whatever. I don't know what it is.
Vibes.
They're just aesthetically pleasing to me. They serve looks together. They have this one picture. We're putting up a different picture, but they have this one picture where it just gives me like Love Jones.
Yeah.
Like, stop.
Their Queen posted a story sometime this year when Will was competing, and like he was walking to the call room.
I remember this.
And he turned around and he looked at her and he was like, "You good? You need anything?" And she's like, "You're about to go compete. Why are you asking me what I need?"
I do agree that Queen should be casted as FloJo, but that's a different. Yes, they're just very cute. I feel like they're just like such a power couple because Will, like, he raps, he has his fashion line. Queen has her hairline, like she's like such a like beauty guru. I be doing like I get my Q-tips from her.
So I loved her post. We're supposed to be talking about couples, but I'm just talking about how individually dope they are.
Because that's why, but I think that's why we love them as a couple. Because it's like they don't have to like be like they stand on their own, and then like when they come together, it's like
her
Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Provocateur shoot. I was like,
we're gonna talk about that on the fashion episode.
To die.
Queen and Will consistently stay on my neck. Like I almost send them my chiropractor bill is all I'm saying. And then our last couple, we're gonna do an OG since we were talking about my coach, and I have a great story to tell. But this week they'll be celebrating they met 29 years ago at the Olympics in 1992 in Barcelona, and it's my coach, Coach Flo, and Mama Flo. They're my like adoptive track parents, and I find their love story so fascinating because apparently they met at the Olympics and they both said they walked in the room, saw each other, they heard the voice of God tell them that this is your husband, this is your wife. 7 days later, Coach Flo, who is not a romantic person at all, if you know him, proposed. And then
he's not romantic to you.
No, he's like I force this man to give me a hug every day and he hates it.
But that's not romantic. A hug is not romantic.
What I'm saying, he's not like a lovey-dovey person. Look, let me tell my story. So he proposed 7 days after meeting her, and then they eloped a month later, and they got married in their podium suits, like Coach Flo in Team Canada, Mama Flo in Team USA, and it was just their pastor and their parents at their wedding. They've been together for 29 years at this point. They have two kids. EJ Florial has followed in their footsteps and started running track, and
yeah, he was at the trials.
They're my little track mom and dad, and I love them. Track love, black love. Like, stop. I also crack up because I'm like, if I came up to Coach Flo and I was like, this guy I met a week ago, we're getting married, he would choke me out.
Gallus, I let you know from early. Yes, from early.
Speaking of getting choked out from your coach, let's transition to our next topic, which is mental health.
Mental health, yes, because unfortunately the camera is running out of battery. I'm gonna have to figure out this battery situation. Where to begin? So, mental health is like, if you don't know, I withdrew for the summer to focus, although things didn't work out as planned, but don't worry about me. I'm taking care of my mental health. I'm studying clinical mental health to be a counselor, and I really want to move into sports counseling, among other things in the counseling space, talking about Black women, Black people taking up space in places that need to be taking up the space, talking about, looking for a Black therapist for myself, and seeing what's happening across the village, across the sports, with athletes really speaking up about their mental health and like, hey, we're not just athletes, we're human beings. This is a lot, from the likes of Naomi Osaka. I think Serena has been kind of screaming to us for a while, and that threw me off a little bit. And I don't know that we got it or heard it, and I would love to hear more about her decision to not compete this summer in the Olympics. And I'm not suggesting that it had anything to do with mental health, but I'm curious. And then, of course, what we see happening with Simone Biles. And
Simone Biles, with Naomi, with Simone Manuel, with Raven Saunders, like I think it's so brave that these women are like speaking up and talking about mental health in such a powerful way, and like, because I think it's a very
taboo,
and it's also like it's a very vulnerable thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think, like, for me, example, like, to admit that there's something wrong is to, like,
as an athlete
actually have to deal with it, because like this isn't exactly the same, but with my injury, like, I kept telling people I'm okay, because if I tell you something's wrong, I have to tell myself that there's something wrong. And I just wasn't willing to do that. And I think as athletes, we can do mental backflips and convince ourselves of the craziest thing. And it also messed with me mentally, because like I'm telling myself like I'm okay. And my body keeps telling me like you're not okay. And then I'm having these highs and lows because I'm having a really good day at practice, and so I'm getting really excited, like my body's bouncing back, and then the next day I can't walk. And then I'm in a deep depression, and like having to do that like 6 months straight, by the end of it, like I'm fried. And when how I realized like I was, one of the reasons like I wasn't going to trials was because I called myself the Kori monster, because when I compete, I'm able to turn on something and I go into a different level. And Flo was like, you need to access the Kori monster and get over these hurdles. And I was like, Flo, I'm accessing that part of me to get up in the morning, to get out of bed, because I'm in so much pain, and I have to be like, okay, you can do this, just to walk to the bathroom. And it was that you can do that only for so long. And like after 6 months, I was just like, I'm doing that just to like do the basic stuff. So when it's time to be like, it's time to show out and take it to the next level, I'm tapped. And I think we're seeing that with Simone talked about Simone Manuel's in swim. She was saying she went through athlete fatigue, and she just like when your body's not responding, it also has effects on your mental. But I also think with Simone, it's something different. It's mainly, I think, more about the attention that's been on her and the pressure that's on her. You can talk about that if you want.
Yeah, in Simone Biles' case, I don't necessarily want to diagnose or say that I think it has more to do with one than the other. But I think I think
they were talking more about the mental.
That's what they're talking about, which I can kind of talk about how annoyed I was with how the situation was even reported on. But I think what I appreciate about the culture around mental health and what we're moving into, I think a lot of us go through things as athletes, as people, and we're unable to name it. And what I appreciate now is being able to name it. Once you can name it, you can identify it, and then you can work through it. So talking about those things that you have, like I always say, the thing about therapy is now, it's not that I'm not going to go through these things anymore, but I now have the tools to be able to go through these things. I now have the wherewithal to be able to say, I don't need this right now. I'm going to take a step back. Today I need, like, we have sick days. I believe that there should be mental health days. That, like, I just
But and like in sports, there's a mentality of no days off.
There's no days off. And, you know, you said something earlier that I was like, it's so crazy how we, whether it's as athletes or as minorities, we create these mantras and these mentalities that build us up in a way that also tear us down. Like the notion that I have to be on go all the time. I have to be 10 times better than you, than the white person or whoever to get the same thing. Like those things
don't allow us to be human.
And I think we're seeing athletes finally saying, I'm human, I need a break, and I'm not afraid. If you have a problem with me needing a break, that's on you. You know?
And you know, speaking of being able to, like, I can't read all that.
I can read it if you want me to, but go, finish your thought.
I'm just saying it's so small. Talking about naming it, there's a great article about Raven Saunders. She's a shot putter for Team USA, and she talks extensively about her depression. But there's an article in Forbes magazine, and she was saying that she was able to compartmentalize, but she knew that she was sad and she didn't want to do her work. She didn't want to shower some days, and track was the only place where she was able to like just release. But because she was having issues, like her grades were slipping, she realized like her coach was like, you may not be able to compete because of your grades, and even that was going to get taken away. And she said that she didn't realize she was depressed because the way in the Black community they talked about mental health, you only have mental health issues if like you're on a 5150, you're you know, psychotic, manic, you know, like.
I've even heard some say like the Black community doesn't have the luxury to be depressed. Like,
true,
I don't have a choice. I've got to go out and do this because how am I going to put food on the table?
But she was saying basically like she didn't think she didn't recognize she had a problem because the only problems that were like valid was like, you're crazy, that crazy person, homeless person on the street,
schizophrenic,
and recognizing like, like I actually have like depression, and then being like, and that's something that I need to actually address and handle is huge.
Right. And I think largely in our communities too, when we say we have depression, we want to address the symptoms and not the issue.
Yeah.
And the symptoms are a result of the issue, and the symptoms don't go away until we deal with the issue.
But I think it's hard sometimes because like one of my mottos in life is like fix it or F it, which is like either I'm a solution-based person, so like I'm like if I have a problem, let's fix it. If I can't fix it, I'm not worrying about it. But I've realized as I've gotten older, there are certain things that I can't let go of necessarily, and I also can't fix. And for me, it really like frustrates me, and I don't know how to deal with it. And like I'm still working through it because I'm a problem solver. I'm a doer. I don't know what you got going on in your phone, but yeah, I think it's just. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a USADA text. so
I think with Simone, it's like she has so much pressure. We talked about it yesterday as far as like I couldn't name another gymnast, and like you can't watch anything related to the Olympics without Simone's face popping up, and like
there's not a commercial segment that Simone's face does not pop up. And I want to address that, like, we live in a culture where it's like break the news first. News happens, like tweets and stuff. So first we got, she came down bad, it was a hamstring injury. Then it was like a team official said that she has a mental issue. I read that and I immediately got pissed off.
Why?
For a number of reasons. Because I was like, first of all, a team official, whatever your role is on the team, one of your jobs is to protect the athletes. And mental issue, I don't know if that was a miscommunication, that maybe the reporter heard it that way and then reported it that way, or if, but in my mind, I'm just thinking, here we go, trying to paint this black girl, this amazing black girl who's already been villainized for her talents, as someone with a mental issue. So even the verbiage of how whatever it was that she was going through, or whatever it was that made her choose to take a step back, I was like, here we go with the BS.
Yeah, and I think it's so mentally taxing when we do on just a regular basis, because bring up Naomi again. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, you're an athlete, that's just part of the job. Okay, tell me what job you have to do in front of thousands of people and perform, and then those people get to judge you, whatever, and then if you fail, thousands actually, with Naomi it's millions of people watch you fail, and then you have to go and talk when you're at your lowest moment, go and talk to people and get on a camera and answer questions about your failures. Some people can't even handle a review at some people can't even handle a corporate review at work, but you think, oh, okay, like, you should just be able to, like, if you really break down what we do, like, it is mentally taxing, and it takes a lot of fortitude, and at some point, like, if you're not all the way there, and there's other, and not to mention, like, we're people with regular things that happens in our life, like, we have all of that, and then having to, like, be on that day.
I think Simone made mention, and I hope I have a few thoughts swirling in my mind that I hope I don't lose, but Simone made mention of, like, there was something that she said about, like, no spectators, and I was like, yeah, has anyone taken the time to think about the fact that, like, she's over there without her family? You know, it's probably hard to go to have the weight of the sport on your shoulders,
and you can't even look up and see your mom to ground you.
You know, grandma, whoever, you know, she's used to having there. I saw that she made a comment about, you know, being one of the last competing gymnasts who was on the receiving end of Larry Nassar's abuse, and feeling like she has to stay on the team in order to hold U.S. Gymnastics accountable. Can you imagine going out and performing with just that? Like, forget life, forget feeling like that burden is yours to carry.
As a sexual assault victim.
But then people want to say, like, oh, this is a part of your job, go out there and perform. Like, people have no idea. I love when Kori says, yeah, you're sitting from your couch telling me how to do my job. The weight of the world, literally, on your shoulders.
I saw a tweet that said Jordan took a break, Barry retired, Calvin Johnson retired, Andrew Luck retired, Gronk took a break, all the height of their careers. Sometimes blank is just tired, bruh. And I felt that because I also feel like we're seeing a lot of women taking heat for being like, hey, I'm not okay and I need to take care of myself. And like I said, people are treating you as a product, and then people are like, well, we have money on you, and like, you need to deliver, and like, what about the fans? And it's like, if this girl goes and like does something to herself and self-harm because
oh, that drives me.
because the fans want an experience, like, I'm sorry, athletes don't owe you guys anything. Like,
that's the thought that I was like, please don't. I am really, really afraid for, like, we're in social media, but social media is just becoming more and more involved, more and more aggressive, and I think that I think social media has something to do with athletes also coming forward and being like, nah, this isn't cool.
Because people feel entitled to have an opinion and they can spam you and
being
they
on
act
Twitter,
like you're not a human
Instagram,
person.
Being on social media is now a part of being the athlete, your brand, and all of those things. So now people have a different kind of access to you.
And they think they know you.
That, speaking of Michael Jordan, Gronk, like, that access didn't exist. So now add that layer of constantly being ridiculed if you had a bad day. Because guess what? It happens some days. And even at the Olympics.
And I think there's that thing of, like, she's so much better than everyone else that she's forget excellence is a standard. Perfection is a standard. And I also think it's like, it'd be another thing if like, okay, I'm expected to be perfect, and when I'm perfect, I get praise for it. I'm expected to be perfect, and when I'm perfect, I get what's the word I'm looking for? Like she gets like
Villainized.
not villainized. It's like she gets what is the word I'm looking for? She gets.
I don't know. I lose my words all
I'm
the
like
time, so I'm not helpful.
I'm just upset right now. It's like when you get like points taken off, or like
Reprimanded.
it's on that line. She gets taxed for it, but like not that. That's not the word I'm looking
Taxed
for.
fits.
But whatever. It's like even when she's perfect, like they try to like take her down a peg, and so it's like even when I'm giving,
she was punished for being too good.
That's what I'm saying. She gets punished for it. So it's like you want her to be perfect, but then it's like you don't even value what she does, and then when she doesn't give you guys that, like she's villain. It's like you can't win. Just say you hate the girl. Like,
also, something that she did too that I'm like, I only have 7%. Get it out, Tosh. Okay, because I was like, well, how did her stepping down like not affect the rest of the team? But I realized that it's also like the 4x4. There's an alternate. So the alternate stepped in a way that she wouldn't have had that opportunity if Simone continued. But also, I read reports where they were saying because this was affecting her so much so that she wasn't performing at her level of excellence.
Yeah.
That her scores was pulling the team down in a sense that like.
And to have
to be able to be like, I'm not going to be selfish and hold you guys down. I'm not here at 100%. That takes a level of
maturity, grace,
all the things, because we as athletes again feel like I have to do this. Everybody's counting on me. There's no way I could. So even for her to have the wherewithal, and I really appreciate seeing her teammates rally behind her. I'm a little bit shady. I am a little bit skeptical. I do wonder what is happening behind the scenes.
But I don't think that's our business.
I don't think it's not our business, but I'm just curious because I'm just
But I don't think she owes us an explanation.
She doesn't owe us an explanation, and I don't.
Especially since the Olympics aren't even paying her. I mean, her sponsors are, but the Olympics aren't even paying her to be there.
These since Aisha, Aussie basketball player Liz Cambridge removed herself from the team for those similar reasons of being in a bubble, emphasis on bubble, and not having the support that she would be used to. Aisha, thank you. Deducted was the word we were looking for.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I just cannot get it together.
Cecilia, how many people quit their jobs during or after the pandemic? Why doesn't this make sense to people? Exactly. Why doesn't it make sense?
Shamir Little will be on.
Our producers are that's our cue to like.
I just feel like at the end of the day, please remember that athletes are humans. We are not products. Like they don't like
owe us anything.
And as I love to say that athletes are the closest thing to superheroes you're gonna get, because the things that we do with our bodies are out of this world. But we aren't superheroes. Like we're human beings.
I disagree. We are.
We are.
But superheroes, I see. One thing that the pandemic has taught me, that multiple things can exist in one.
Yes.
We're superheroes that are human beings with emotions and feelings, and we all need to deal with our mental health.
Yeah, and I just feel like, there are people who are like can't cope with things in their daily life. Like we have those exact same things, and then we have to go out and perform in a job where the pressure that's in our job is like, hey, if you lose your race, like if you're a teacher and you have a bad day, no one's coming in and being like, well, we're taking 10% of your paycheck. If you're not one of the top 10 teachers in the world,
talk about it. That's another Track Girl Summer topic.
If you're not, but I'm saying like, so that's the pressure you have in line. If I don't win these races and get topped in the world, like I may not be able to pay my bills. Like,
yeah,
it's motivating, but it's also like,
Aisha, happy birthday! If you come back tomorrow, we'll give you a special. Hopefully, you come back tomorrow. But I ain't mad if you celebrating, because I'm Team Leo. I get it. Sorry.
So it's just like, I just implore people to sit down and really try to think about what athletes are actually out here doing. You work hard for 4 years to go after a dream, and then like you have all this pressure
and all these since 5 years.
Yeah, and
what was that added pressure?
And
this
think about
year?
how everyone had those mental health breaks because of the pandemic. We had them too. Like we were isolated from our families and friends too, while trying to put ourselves through grueling workouts. And also just like I said before, it's like we've had to like grind for 2 years straight on that Olympic grind. Like
that, quite frankly, up until a few weeks ago, I think it was still questionable if the games were going to happen.
Which was also like another
so
thing.
just imagine like going through that, like.
And so before people get on Twitter and start villainizing, and someone I saw the tweet that someone said like another gymnast like competed with a pulled hamstring and
stop comparing how other people deal with trauma.
But do you guys not remember when Simone was competing with kidney stones? And not that you should do those things to prove your worth and like your toughness, but like she's done all of that. Like she's competed with broken toes. She's done all that. Like at some point, like
my point
you're gonna break.
We can applaud like MJ playing the flu game, and we can applaud athletes for doing things like that, right? But I hate when we take other people's issues and use that to minimize which is the point that I think you're trying to make. That we take how other people have dealt with, or even you being able to get through another time.
She said that she competed while being sexually abused. Let's stop.
Let's just stop. Exactly. Like, let's stop using other people's traumas, other people's situations. Well, I'm going through such and such to minimize.
And it's like you're only as good as
your
last
breaking point might be different than my breaking point. Whatever the breaking point is, you crying out and saying that, or not even crying out, just being like, I'm taking this break. I respect that.
And I feel like
let's respect that. Let's normalize asking for a break. Or she didn't even ask for it. She took it.
Yeah.
But let's normalize not being afraid to, like you said, not asking for it and putting our mental health
first. And I don't think this takes away from anything she's done. I feel like we live in a culture where you're only as good as your last. In fact, I think
it elevates what she's done.
Yeah. But I feel like we live in a culture where you're only as good as like your last performance. And you guys forget all these amazing things that you've done. Like, okay, she faltered once, but like she's giving you everything. But I feel like we're running out of battery.
Track girl summer. Do you little
track girls? I feel like I just like don't have. My heart's heavy. Well, the place where my heart should be because I'm dead inside, guys. But let me stop. But I just like I don't know.
I hope you guys are enjoying this.
I feel like we had some really good conversations.
We had some great conversation.
Thank you guys for joining us today. Be sure to follow me, Natasha, everywhere, IG, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook.
All the things.
Follow Track Girl Summer on Instagram and YouTube. Can't we catch the beginning of the last ones? We are working through things. As far as yesterday's stream, I think we have
this is streaming right now, so you can go to Track Girl Summer and watch this. The replay. We are at 8:52 on Instagram, so come and follow us on Instagram. Join the party.
And we guys will see you guys tomorrow, same place, same time. We'll have Shamir Little, who is one of my favorite people to compete against. She's extremely funny. And remember, no matter what time of the year it is, it's always a Track Girl Summer. Do you guys like that as an outro line?
Tell us. We love your feedback.
I think it's healthy to take a mental break. It's just very stressful. And Track Girl Summer's gonna be life. We're trying, guys. All right, that's our show. Thank you guys so much. We love y'all.
See you tomorrow. Bye. The camera didn't die. We made it.
They liked our outro. You're on charge of like cutting us off, but like I'll just keep you